So, firstly, I want to state, I don't want to make this video. I honestly don't, but we're going to have to do this.
Now in 4K.
Now, secondly, not all the information that I'm going to discuss in this video is factual, okay? There will be opinions, there will be information that has been sent via third party. So, let's get that clear as well. Now, thirdly, I have reached out to Damian for comment, explanation, something. As a matter of, it's been at least 48 hours. I have sent him messages, and especially after I talked to someone, I said, this is my final attempt to get information from you. And what have I got? Nothing in return. Now, I could reach out to Marty, but the chances are, and rightfully so, he would send me to Damian. Because in the end, Damian should be held responsible for the actions of his company. Not his employees. Him. So, I haven't attempted to reach out to Marty for comment on this, because more than likely, he won't give me one, and he'll send me to Damian. I don't know for sure, but Damian's the only one that I've tried, because he's the one that should have all the answers. But why do I mention only those two? Because more than likely, it's been only those two people that have been working there for a good while now. Chances are the last few games that have been sent out the doors have been built by those two alone. They have been trying their damnedest to keep this company afloat for as long as they possibly could, but it looks like the inevitable demise is upon them. A little over a year ago, I had an interview with Damian in regards to the remaining Fathoms and his early release of Centaur Revisited. And the questions that were asked were submitted by the audience. Potential or current buyers submitted these questions, and they wanted answers. So I asked those questions. Yet, supposedly, the questions I asked were softball questions. My retort back to those of you that say that is that if my questions were softball and you wanted answers for a particular thing, then maybe you should have submitted what you perceived to be a hardball question. That interview wasn't for me. That interview also wasn't for Haggis. The interview was for those of you out there on the fence that either had ordered a Fathom, were thinking about ordering a Fathom, were also wondering more about these Centaurs. Basically, you needed more info to make a decision. That's what that interview was for. So if you watched that interview and you left with the mental thoughts of going, you know what? I put faith in them. I'm going to give them money. Then the interview did its job. If you left that interview thinking, I don't trust them, they're not getting a dime from me, then the interview did its job. And that's who the interview was targeted towards. Not towards you that are praying for the company to fail. I mean, I honestly don't want them to fail, but it looks like that's where it's going. Now, this info right here was shared via Facebook and then further spread by Canada, and I immediately reached out to Damian for comment and confirmation. Nothing. And then later, I think it was the next day actually, another image began to spread online, and once again, Facebook and then by Canada, and this is one of many trucks that have been getting loaded up at the Haggis facility. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, you know what, maybe they're just, shipping out games. The last time I ordered a game, it wasn't being unloaded out of a budget rental truck. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you out there that are getting a game delivered to you from a distributor, it's not coming off of a budget rental truck. Just saying. So I reached out to the only other individual that should know more than the rest of us, aside from Damian himself. And that's Zach at Flipping Out Pinball, because he is the only authorized Haggis dealer in the United States. So, surely, they've been in communication, and Zach knows what's going on, and I can get some information from him. But would it surprise you guys? I mean, I'm not going to give you all the information of our conversation, but would it surprise you that Zach hasn't had a conversation or talked to Damian in, wait for it, months? What? Are you serious? And for those that don't know, Zach has been taking the blunt of this, okay? And he's been doing his damnedest to make these early adopters and deposit guys happy, doing whatever he can. And his reasoning behind doing this, I quote, because it's the right thing to do. And Zach looks at this as another business decision that he made. There's risk versus reward, and obviously the risk definitely outweighs the reward, and he's dealing with it, he's taking it on the chin, and he's pushing forward. Now, one could assume that he might be able to, like, press charges and do something or whatever like that, but then you have to think, okay, so lawyers, fees, and all that stuff and junk, and just other things that he would have to do on top of already running his business. But throw more money into something to hopefully get Damian to give him his money back. But the thing is, Damian doesn't have any money to give. So, yes, it would be easier and obviously save money in the long run just to move on. Dealing with the Centaur deposit fiasco is already bleeding his damn capital as we speak. Now, according to some posts here on Pinside, Damian hasn't paid his rent for months now. So he's being evicted from the premises. Now, this is supposedly someone reached out to the landlord or the building owner, and they allegedly willingly gave out this information that the current tenant is being evicted and the new tenant should be moving in the next month or something like that. I don't know how true that is. I just don't see them giving out that information. So take that information with a little bit of a grain of salt. So on top of that, I've also heard from a third-party source in the industry that he has not, when I say he, meaning Damian, has not been able to pay invoices for, like, parts and stuff. And the bill is like maybe like $5,000 type of thing. And for those that are in the pinball industry manufacturing, if you have an invoice that's like around $5,000, that's kind of a drop in the bucket for what it can be, guys. And so for those that work at Stern JJP and you see these invoices, I'm sure you're like $5,000. That's pretty small. So take that note, is that, once again, allegedly, he hasn't been able to pay invoices for even longer than he hasn't been able to pay his mortgage. I said mortgage, I meant the rent on the facility, the plant, whatever. Now, also, the last recorded game being shipped out was over 45 days ago, and that was via Bally Pinball on Pinside over there. There was like, I don't know, 6 or so games that were in boxes. So that's the last recorded games leaving that facility was over 45 days ago. And now, on top of that, the last time Damian was even logged in to Pinside, where he used to be very active and transparent about everything, was in 2022. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that are holding on to that whiff of hope. And you're just like, maybe they're just downsizing. That's all it's doing. We'll still see our games, won't we? Guys, there's a couple of words that you don't want to hear companies say when they're talking about their future, and that is downsizing and recapitalization. Those are two big words that have been stated. Well, they haven't said downsizing yet, but those are two words that are more than likely going to be uttered by Damian. And those are two words that are not something you want to hear if you're expecting product from them. Now, there's someone on my Patreon, guys, that bought a Fathom, has one, loves the build quality on it, so he also put in a deposit for Centaur. And as things began to progress and looking pretty bad for Haggis, he fell on his own sword. He was like, it's my fault. I put down the money. I should have known better. Basically, he put the blame on himself. Like, he saw all the signs, but yet he still gave the money out. So you have the people that are willing to fall on their own sword for their money being gone. Then you have those that are also willing to put the blame on Haggis, and rightfully so. This is on Haggis to be able to fulfill their end of the bargain here. But then you have those very special select few that want to blame me. They feel that I was cheerleading and campaigning for you guys to put in deposits and give Haggis more money. By all means, show me the proof on that. If I ever uttered the words in writing or verbally that you guys should buy a Centaur, you guys should give friggin' Haggis your money at any time, especially while unboxing that unicorn Centaur that I'm still getting shit for whatever reason. Any one of you out there, I'll state it again, I've stated it before, any one of you enthusiasts that said that you wouldn't have at least stood by to watch the unboxing, let alone do the unboxing, you're lying. And the thing is, if you want to give me shit about unboxing a Centaur for your viewing pleasure, and you're welcome, because it's the only unboxing of a Centaur that you're ever going to see. You think you're going to get more Centaur unboxings? Do you think you're going to see those? No, you're not. So you're welcome. If you feel like you need to place blame on me, even though you are an adult, you have your own brain, you should make your own decisions, but you feel I'm at least partially to blame? The fuck is wrong with you? You're accountable for your actions, your decisions. I have never told you what you should or should not buy. I merely like to give all the information that you possibly, hopefully, could need, if not more, for you as a grown adult, although the way things are worded and typed out on Pinside, I kind of wonder how old you actually are, to make the decision. That's on you. Or that's on Haggis. One of those two. But if you want to blame me, by all means, send me an email. I got my link down in the description down below. If you want to place your blame on me, by all means, let me know, and I will be sure to respond with a fuck off. Look, I wanted Haggis to succeed. I wanted a Centaur. I want that game. I enjoy it. But going by the information and everything that I had seen, I, as an adult, gathered the information and came to the decision that, no, I'm not going to send them money. Because I go by a company's track record, their reputation. So when I see that a company is delivering games very slowly, like really slow, and things are looking a little sus, man, I got my kids' language going on now, suspicious, meaning things might be going kind of iffy with the money, then no. I made the decision to not give them money. And that's my own decision. I have merely commented on their build quality because I was there for the Centaur unboxing. I saw it, I felt it, I saw how well it held up against falling down on top of a pallet jack. Things like that. I have merely complimented them on the craftsmanship of putting this machine together. That's what I do. I don't comment on marketing or anything like that. That's not my field. I want to know how good the build quality of a game is and how well it plays. That's my primary showing for that video was. If all I wanted to do was play it, that's all I would have done. just unboxed it, and played the damn game. But no, I lifted the playfield, went over all the hardware, went inside the cabinet, the back box, everything, to give you more information to help you make a decision on if this is a game you should buy. And guys, if you're commenting down below, oh, no reason to explain, evidently, guys, I have to explain this for some of the dull people out there. So, if you get it, no worries. But for those that evidently are on Pin's side, that's towards them, not towards everybody. I gotta simplify things, break it down, so they understand, evidently. But what troubles me the most is the lack of communication that's going on, and that really pisses me off. And if you don't want to talk to me, Damian, fine. If you don't want to talk to your customers, that's bold, stupid, but bold, and you're killing your repeat customers on that, but okay. But to not talk to the person, the only person, that is selling your games, the fucking audacity you have. Honestly, this isn't going to disappear, Damian. You can't just bury your head in the sand and think it's just going to get better over time. It's time for you to act. And there's those of you out there that want to say this is Deeproot 2.0. I agree to a small extent on that. I disagree with them being Deeproot because they've actually manufactured games and they've gone out to customers. Where I do lean towards agreeance on that is that money was going where it should not have been going. Granted, Deeproot Robert was doing things way wrong by stealing from the elderly their retirement to make his own enjoyment, vacations and stuff like that, and putting it into the company and stuff. Versus Damian, granted, still not good by taking money from one thing and putting it into another, but at least it was going into the company. He wasn't going on extravagant vacations. I mean, we can go into, the intent and, the road to good intent was painted with, what the road to hell is painted with good intentions. That's the phrase or something like that. So, good intentions or whatever his intentions were aside, the fact was, I do believe that Damian wanted to make games. He wanted to get people their games. That's what he wanted in-game wise. I think where he messed up is that he continued to try to keep the company alive when he should have just gave up or found an investor sooner or something else. But taking money from Centaur, allegedly, and putting it into the company by getting Fathoms out the door and stuff like that, that's where you did the wrong. And again, we don't have facts on where money was going, but if you're any good at math, you can start to add up, the overhead and stuff like that versus how much is going in. The money's coming from somewhere. I mean, COVID restrictions killed Haggis, plain and simple. Every day that their factory was shut down, every day they weren't making games, was a day they were hemorrhaging money. And they were hemorrhaging for months, if not years. The money ran out. And I think that's where Damian messed up. Instead of calling it quits and pissing off only your Fathom people, you decided to keep on going and take money for Centaur to keep the money. What was your thinking? I'm going to assume that you just wanted to keep the company afloat as long as possible until you found an investor. That's the only thing that somewhat makes sense on this. But you should have called it quits sooner. And I wish that you would have somehow found somebody to invest or move to the States, somehow found a way that way. But now instead of just pissing off your Fathoms, you've also added to the hatred group all the Centaur people. So you've made it even worse for yourself. You need to make a statement, Damian. Plain and simple. Although, I really don't know what you could say at this point to gain the trust from the community. I don't think there is anything that you could say. So if you say anything other than admission of defeat, I don't see the community having your back anymore. Not after what's going on and the lack of communication. I don't see them having your back. You making a statement about possibly like, oh, we're just downsizing, we're still going to be getting games out, and all these other promises again. That is like the equivalent of me telling my wife, oh, yeah, sure, baby, we can go round 2, just give me 5 minutes to recoup, and I'll be ready to go at it again. Which, her and I know damn well, there's not going to be round 2. There's going to be me passed out. That's what's going to happen. So that's where I see the equivalency on this, Damian. You giving us promises, and the rest of us going, no. That's not going to happen. What I lack in size, I make up for with speed. So look, guys, my faith in Haggis was already low, but I was content because they were at least getting games out the door. Granted, really slow, but at least they were getting games out the door. And since that evidently has come to a halt, then it looks like my faith in them has also come to a halt. So now we've got radio silence, no games for at least 45 days. But I guess it won't be over until you actually say something, Damian. The ball is in your court. But whatever you have to say, I'm afraid it won't save you at this point. Because if there's anything I know that can kill a pinball company, is a bad reputation. Oh, if there's anything Pinside does for me, is just, it gives me entertainment. Because I read these comments, and thank you to a lot of you out there that come to my defense. I don't ask for it, or do I need it, but thank you. And oddly enough, someone was a little bit at my defense that historically is not. Flinnibus actually somewhat defended me, and he has a long history of doing the opposite. So him defending me to an extent was actually, I guess, speaks volumes when you have people that say things like, can we also rope some other complicit parties into this as well? Cary Hardy was really excited to show off his Centaur remake and hyping up putting down deposits even when it was obvious from everyone that the company was frozen and non-responsive. All for those precious clicks. His response after the fact was essentially, what? Did I do something wrong? I had no idea. I got to unbox one, so of course I would on camera. Read the room, dude. Deplorable. Oh, you cracked me up, man. You cracked me up because the only thing that would make me mad about other people's comments is if they were true. But when they're just can be factually disproven, it makes me laugh, honestly. So there is that.